So MSTY and AMDY both did a reverse split today. We're going to go over those and also show how to update the stock tracker sheet to account for that reverse split on those or any of the others that you may have that have gone through a reverse split. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today we're going to go over MSTY and we're also going to take a look at AMDY, as both of those did a reverse split today. And I'm also going to show you how to update that stock tracker sheet so that we can get those share counts correct moving forward. So right now we're looking at the stock chart on MSTY, and you can see that it actually had a up day today. It's up 2%. Now of course it did go through that reverse split, and since we're looking at the adjusted chart, you really don't see that reverse split, right? Because the adjusted chart takes out any kind of movement of the distributions or reverse splits or forward splits or anything like that. But in order to see that reverse split, we can easily go and change our settings and flip it to the actual, and now you can see that reverse split. You can see that it was down to around $7, and then we can scroll up because it was a 1 for 5, meaning for every 5 shares you have, you get 1 share. And right here is where it's setting. So it looks like it opened at about $35.50. And after opening, we had about a 2% move up for the day. But flipping it back to that adjusted chart, you can see we have been somewhat trading sideways, and that's an all right thing. But ultimately, we need Bitcoin to start moving on up. Because as you can see right here on Bitcoin, we are just staying right in this area. It's just trading sideways. We're going up to 93 and we're dropping back down to 88. And currently we're sitting at 90, right? So it's just back and forth, which of course means Mr. is also back and forth. So that's why you can see that Mr. is trading sideways, because Bitcoin is somewhat trading sideways. And therefore, MSTY is trading sideways. Now, because of that reverse split, it does adjust that purchase price. So we'll need to go in and we'll need to adjust that on our stock tracker sheet. And it's a pretty easy fix. But let's also take a look at AMDY right here. And you can see AMDY is also trading somewhat sideways to up, but overall still just kind of staying sideways. And since both of these did go through a reverse split today, I wanted to update that stock tracker sheet so that I can get that corrected and we can continue moving forward with that. All right, so here we are on my stock tracker sheet. And as you can see, I now have all of my ETFs linked up to the individual pages. I went through and I've added all of those links, and they're all throughout. So when Rev 4 is released, when you fill out your stock tracker sheet, and this is the individual one, and you enter in your ticker symbol along with your purchases and your distributions that you've earned, then it will populate each one of these fields with the ones that you have filled in. And those links will then be connected, and you'll be able to flip back and forth from the summary page to the individual sheets. So that just helps to make things a little simpler to find, a little quicker, and a little easier. Now, since MSTY and AMDY did go through a reverse split today, we need to update the stock tracker sheets for both of those. So using the links here, we can hover over MSTY and you'll get a little pop-up and you can simply just click it. It takes you straight to the individual page. And if you want to go back to the summary page, it's simple by hovering over the back to summary, clicking that pop-up, and it takes you right back to the summary page. So each one, when you go into it, you can get straight back to the summary page. So it makes it nice, easy, and simple. So again, going into MSTY, I had 475 shares, and that was before the reverse split. So we need to adjust this number, which will also adjust the purchased share average. And that will affect a few of the other numbers. But that's the two numbers that we'll end up adjusting. And how we're going to do that is by entering in two lines of values in our purchase area here. So the first thing we want to do is enter in the reverse split date. And that reverse split date is 12/8. And for that purchase price, there are two ways you can do this. And it really all depends on your number of shares. If your number of shares evenly divides by whatever that reverse split is, then you can do the easy, quick way. But if it does not, then you'll have to do it using a couple other formulas that I showed you when I had to do it for a CONY. And if you missed that video, I'll post that video right here, and you can go to the part of that video where I am updating CONY, and it will show where I'm actually using a formula to sum up the total amount that you have invested and the total amount of shares you have to create that price per share. Because if it does not divide by 5 in this case, right? CONY was by 10, but in Misty's case, if the number of shares you have for Misty does not divide evenly by 5, then you'll need to go the route that I used for CONY, because you'll have a fractional share which will not carry over in the reverse split. That fractional share most likely will get paid out to you in cash, and the number of shares will just round down to that whole number, which will then, of course, affect the amount of money that you have invested. And that's why there are two methods. Now, the one that I use for CONY, it is good whether it divides evenly by that reverse split number or not. It's just if it does evenly divide by it, you can use this easy, quick way. And I'll show you real quick of how to do it with the quick way on Misty, and then we'll do it the long way when I do it for AMDY. But both of them, I could actually use the quick way because both of them divide out by 5. So for the quick way, we can just enter in a dollar value of 0. And for the number of shares, I still like to use a formula here, and I will just do equals sum, open parentheses. I'm going to click, hold, and drag that right up, capture all of these numbers, and then close parentheses times -1. And when I hit enter on that, that subtracts out those 475 shares. So now you can see everything is zeroed out. And now we want to buy those shares back, but it'll be 1/5 of that 475. So the date being 12/8, we'll keep that 0 value, and we can use the calculator here, and we can type in the 475, and we can take that divided by 5, and that equals 95 even. Now, what I meant earlier by not dividing out equally would be if I had 476 and I took that and divided by 5, now I get 95.2. So that 0.2 will not carry over. That will just get paid out in cash to you, most likely, and you'll be left with 95 shares. Okay, that's what I mean. But if you have a decimal or a fractional share, then you'll have to use the method that I used for CONY. But in my case, I have 95 shares, and boom, there we go. So now I have 95 shares. My purchase share average is $121. Oh my gosh, I am getting wrecked, right? It's a credit price of $35.80, and I've got a purchase price of $121. Oh my gosh, I have lost all kind of money, haven't I? Oh, no, I haven't. I'm just messing. My capital that I have invested is $11,000, almost $500, right? But look at the distributions I've earned and the premium I've earned. That more than covers the capital invested. So that is why it is in paid off status. So I really don't care what this purchase price is right here. And that's the purchase share average, right? That just takes the average of these purchases. I can care less of what that is. I really care about what this is. This is my adjusted price per share, or my real price per share. That is the one that I care about. That's the one that tells me when I have earned back my total amount that I had invested, and then from that point I'm actually making money. So don't let this number here freak you out. This number to me means nothing. Now if you are dripping and you're 100% drip, and you have been for the entire time, then you'll also see that your real price per share is $121. Now I don't think I would care much for that at all, right? But I don't drip. I do purchase more shares, but you've seen other videos where I show how I'm purchasing shares, when I purchase shares, because I do not purchase them unless that current price is under my real price per share. Now, once it's in paid off status, then it doesn't matter. As long as I do not go over this dollar amount right here, then I can buy shares and it still stay in paid off status. So anyway, those two lines right there now gets MSTY back in line, showing my 95 shares, my actual purchase share average, the capital I have invested, along with all distributions, and my adjusted price per share, or my real price per share, is $3.27. So that updates MSTY. Now we can go in and update AMDY. And to get to AMDY, we can simply go back to our summary sheet and go to AMDY. So I don't have to scroll through, find out where it's at and everything else. And again, here you can see I have 820 shares divided by the 5. It's an even 164. So again, I can use the simple way. But for this one, I will go ahead and use the other method just so that you can have an example in this video if you had fractional shares. But this method that I'm about to show you, it works if you have fractionals or if it does divide out evenly. So again, we'll enter in that date of 12/8. That sell price will be equals the sum, so SUM, open parentheses, and we want to capture all of the amount that we have spent, close parentheses, divided by the sum of the number of shares. So we want to add up all those shares as well, close parentheses. And that gives us the 1582. And how many shares are we selling? So we'll use a formula equals SUM, open parentheses, grab all of those cells there with the share numbers in it, close parentheses, times -1. Boom. So that sells it off. That closes everything out. Everything's zeroed out. So now we're going to purchase them back. 12/8. And how many shares do we have? Well, it's 820 divided by the 5, and that is that 164 that we showed in the calculator right here. So 164 is what we'll be purchasing back. Now, what is the purchase price? Now, again, you only have to use this method if it does not divide out equally. But on your broker, you should have a section where it does tell you how much you spent to buy those 164 shares. Because it could be different than this number here, because if it was a fraction, that new amount will be less than the amount that you had before. And that difference will just be paid out to you in your broker account. Now, to get that price per share, you would enter equals, and this is where you're going to look at your broker app and you're going to get that value. There should be a value amount or a dollar amount that is spent to buy those 164 shares. So you should see where you now have a number of shares and a total cost for those number of shares. That's the number you want to use, not the market value, but the cost to buy those shares. And that should be in your broker app. And in my case, looking at my broker app, it was 12970.52, which just happens to be the same number as we showed up here, because mine does divide by 5. If yours does not, it will be a different number than this number, okay? And you can see that in the previous video that I did link in this video, and look at the one that I did for CONY, as it was not divisible by 10, as that was a 1 for 10. And now we're going to take that number and divide it by the number of shares being 164. And when we enter that, now we get that total amount spent. Mine's the same because it was divisible by 5. But now that corrects and gets everything else back in line. And just like before, even though the purchase share price is $79.09 and the current price being $39.71, I don't care that it's $79.09. I care what my real price per share is, and that's $33.09. And with the current price of $39.71, I am doing just fine, right? Because if I were to sell my shares, all 164, even after the reverse split, I will make $1,085.11. So don't look at this number and get all freaked out, right? Because if I'm looking at 79 and I look at the current price of 39, everybody's saying, oh, your account's getting wrecked. You've lost almost half of what you had put into it. Well, as far as the price of it, yes, but I earn distributions and that has made up for it. And therefore, if I were to sell, I'll make $1,000. It's just how it works out. And that's how these ETFs or high yield ETFs work. But you have to be careful about your purchases. Now, I do not do 100% drip, right? Because if I did, now that would be a different story, right? Because then I would be looking at a real price per share of $79 and a current price of $39. Well, that I ain't liking that very much. But that's why I don't use drip. And that's why I also am very surgical in my purchase prices. And the main one is this current price must be under my real price per share, or else I ain't purchasing more shares. And yes, that could mean that I don't purchase more shares for quite a while. But my goal is to get it paid off, and then I can use those distributions to buy more shares and always stay in paid off status so that I don't have any risk in the position. But that's just how I'm playing it. Everybody plays a little different. I like to be a little on the safer side. I want to get it paid off and then have it make money for me. But that's me. You have to make your own decisions, as this is not financial advice, and you should always do your own due diligence and your own research and come up with your own method of how you want to handle these high yield ETFs. But for me, I don't want my account wrecked. So that's why I use my method, because I don't want my real price per share to be $79 at a current price of $39. And if I was doing 100% drip from the very beginning, then I don't know what that actual price would be, because I would have multiple purchases, right? But it would probably be somewhere close to that current price, maybe above it, right? I don't know. You would have to actually have those purchases to find out what your real price per share would be. But the one thing is your real price per share average would definitely be the same as your purchase price per share, because you're doing 100% drip. And therefore, you're rolling your distributions right back in. So therefore, you're not getting any kind of price difference between the two here. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. It would be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.